welcome to my podcast. Today I'm going to talk about another important case station. So basically, it's about teenage girls. So after you introduce yourself, as we always agreed, and double check the patient name and date of birth, you will ask, usually it's a young girl who come to you alone or might come with her boyfriend or her best friend. So she will tell you, oh, doctor, I'm having issue that I want to prescribe contraceptive for me. So you have to never to assume or judge, and you always have to I know it's a tricky situation, especially legally and ethically, especially when a young girl who's younger than 16 age group. You need to ask her and tell her, can you tell me more about this? And you need to assess the most important thing, that's the Gillick competency. So basically, it's that the patient consent without her parental permission, and that she understands what's being told, and she can regurgitate it back to you. And always you'll act in the best interest of the patient. So that's something you need to put in mind. If the patient or if the girl is younger than 13 years age group, so by law, this one unable to consent or understand the situation, and it's always mandatory that you need to consider if there is any element of sexual activity forced, and if the patient is under the child sexual exploitation. So basically, it's a criminal offense in the UK, and you need to refer the patient or the child for child protection. So this is very mandatory because it's a very tricky situation. So basically, you need to establish a rapport with the girl and offer always support and time in order to make her informed choice by explaining and discussing the emotional and physical implication of the sexual activity, like, for instance, if she falls in pregnancy or if there is a sexual transmitted infection. So you need to explain about safe sex technique or safety things that you need to be used. And you could ask also how long you've been sexually active and what's the age of your partner or the boyfriend or whatever. Because if there is a big age group or age difference, that's another issue to be considered, and it will be considered as sexual exploitation for children, or maybe she's forced into that sexual act, or maybe it's like bribery, or it's involving certain ways whereby maybe she's paid for that. So this is very tricky, and it's very important to draw lines around this issue. And of course, you need to double check that the girl is mature enough to understand the whole situation. And you need to know also if there is any, for instance, involvement of drug or alcohol, which could involve and influence young people in this kind of activity. And also, sometimes this person might be known to the police or the social worker for an abusive relationship. So in that regard, always before prescribing, you need to understand the implication, and you need to know that when she comes to ask for this, she's likely to keep engaged in a sexual activity. So it's important to know that, and you need to know if you withhold prescription, the young person might mentally affected and might suffer from this withhold prescribing. So you have to prescribe, and usually they don't want their parent to know, so you can't persuade them until, oh, you need to tell your parent, or I can't give you until you bring your parent. It's not like that at all. So you just need to ask just as a simple question: does your family know? Does your mom know? This kind of stuff. And if she doesn't want, it's not your job to tell so. You just need to explain what this might involve and what's the implication, and explain about safe sex procedures, like providing free condom, like knowing the age of the partner, and always consider a child protection situation, and very important to document all of that and write that the patient is competent enough under Gillick competency, and if there is any vulnerability you need to identify as well and act accordingly. And of course you need to ask about if there is any past medical history, if there is any medication being taken, if there is any drug allergy, if there is any family history of any illness that runs in the family. And you can also ask about, after all of that, you need to ask about lifestyle. Usually young girls, they try to keep fit and stay active. So you could have asked about what sort of diet, activity they do, if they started drinking, for instance, or taking any drugs, especially when you go in weekend parties, stuff like that, just to know. And very important, as I say, the age of the partner, how long the relationship started, and if there is any other issue that the patient is concerned about, you just need to address their concern. And of course, you take it from there. So I hope by that I just covered briefly about one of the most important case station that you might face in Plab 2, whereby a young girl come to you asking for contraceptive prescription. And you need to follow Gillick competency. Thank you.